Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be bringing you my top 10 beginners essential tips for SoulMask. We're going to start off with some basic stuff and work our way onto that late early game stages, but we're not going to cover anything too advanced and the spoilers are going to be kept to a minimum where it is possible to do so. If you do find this video useful and informative, please do drop me a like and a subscribe down below and make sure you've got the notification bell on for tons more SoulMask content. So tip number 1. How to get more armor. Well, first things first, when you load it into the game, it's going to take you through a series of tutorials and kind of a main quest in the top left of your screen, which you'll see here. I am on Legend of the Pyramid, and it's telling me to do all of these different things. Now, if you go into the T menu, which is your technology tree, if you will, and you head over to your linen gear, it actually tells you to pick up the linen defense gear as part of that quest line. But what it doesn't tell you to do is pick up the linen attack gear. So things like this, you will want to get early doors. That will enable you to craft linen gloves. It will enable you to craft a stone bead necklace and also a calcite ring, which are going to be your first kind of jewelry and glove slots. It's also worth noting that in the weapons, you can pop points into here if you want to get different stone weapons. However, as you can see, I just kind of stuck with the spear that it tells you to get and was able to move on to bone weapons pretty quickly after that. So it's kind of up to you what you want to do there, but I would definitely recommend getting the second set of gear because that's going to allow you a lot more survivability when you are hunting and fighting mobs and also the NPCs. Another thing that people overlook in the start of this game is water containers. Again, it's not something that the kind of tutorial / quest line tells you to do, and therefore people do forget this or not understand or see it. So I've seen a few people asking online where you can get water bottles, as this is needed for making leather. And what you can do here is simply craft a water bottle. You will, of course, need to unlock the technology for this. To do this, you'll see that it is on the primitive tool, and then it is under stone tools, which obviously the game tells you to get right at the start. You can see here there is 3 items, and all of these items are very useful, so don't sleep on this one. It's called basic survival. You'll get the water bottle, you'll get the bug net, and you'll get the luminous waste lamp craft available. All of these things, like I say, are going to be super useful for you, and we're going to touch on those in later tips, but you certainly want to get the water bottle, as then when you go ahead and go to your tanning rack over here and you're trying to craft leather, once you unlock the tanning fluid, you'll see you need water consumption for that, and so this will enable you to do that. You can see here I've got a couple of those water bottles with some water in. Now if your base is near a water source like this lake that I've built my base on here, you can of course fill the bottles up by having them in your inventory and then clicking the draw water button. If you're looking for clay in this game, it spawns near the water. You can see here that this is clay right here next to my base, kind of growing into the floor of my base right now. You can see in the bottom left there, obtained clay as I am taking this out. And this is going to spawn all around this little lake area. If you want a rough guide as to where this is on the map, you can see this is kind of the starting area on the right hand side here, and I've just built just past the mouth of the river here into this more open section, and this all has clay along it just down the center here. That's the full view of the map, if you will. So you can kind of get a good perspective on where that is if you are struggling to find clay on any of these other water parts here. But this river is a really good area to be able to find it, and you can just gather quite a lot of this. It gives you a decent amount of mining XP if you look in the very bottom left there, not above the toolbar, but in the bottom left where you get the skill levels up. You can see that it's actually providing us with quite a decent amount, and so that will allow you to progress in anything that you need clay for. I've seen a lot of people asking about that. Now, you might or might not know in this game that there are 3 different types of levels, which is your mask level, your awareness level, and your characters level, as well as then kind of the sub-levels for each of the individual weapons and the gathering skills. Now, the awareness level up is the thing that you'll be able to need. If you look at mine right now, it says here if I want to move on to the advancement of bronze, which is kind of like my next milestone, I need to get to awareness strength needed 20. And you can see in the top there, my awareness strength or awareness level is at 16. So how do you get this up? Well, it's literally XP for doing anything. So you'll see right now at the bottom, we're on 14,563 out of 15,050. If we go and do literally anything, so if we pull out the scythe here and we just get a few of these, you'll see it's going up. So whatever you do in the game, you're going to be able to level this up, and the fastest way I have found to do it is go around and gather and then craft things at the same time. So if you are gathering the bushes and things like that, crafting linen and thick ropes constantly whilst you are gathering other stuff, And anything you can craft in your inventory whilst moving, basically, and gathering is a really good way. But obviously the main and best way is going to be your hunting animals, and then obviously skinning them, and then of course fighting the NPCs that you'll find around the map on all of these kind of different ruins and things like that. They're going to give you a good chunk of XP as well. I'm going to do a full separate video once I've worked out the optimal way to do this, but one really important tip for right now is making sure you get a rested buff. So you can use either the mats if you're pretty low level, or if you've managed to level up a little bit and you have got the chairs, you want to just sit down in front of your bonfire for a little while, and you should see there comfort level and sweet home. If you've got sweet home, that means you've got a roofed area with a fire, so they'll get the buff, and then your comfort level will increase as you build more chairs, rugs, that kind of thing. And as you can see there, we have now got the Pleasant Mood level 2 buff, which gives us 30 minutes of a comfortable state achieved after adequate rest in a simple house. Body XP gain is plus 40 and max load plus 10. So this is going to help out a little bit in getting some of that XP. And what it means by body XP gain, as far as I can tell, is if you press O and go into your level here, it's going to be this level right here. So the actual physical person you are playing as. Now, the reason it says body, because obviously if you're playing as your main character, then you'll level up that one, but you can of course control all these other outcasts and things that you pick up along the way, all the different tribes people, so it will be that body that levels up by 40% more whilst you have this Pleasant Mood buff on. Although that doesn't directly level up your awareness strength faster, it is going to mean that you are gaining more character XP or body XP, whatever you want to call that, whilst you are doing the other things, so you may as well get this on to achieve a little bit more extra XP as well. And with that then, don't forget to level it up. As you can see right here now, I've got level 20 and I've got 3 available stats. So I'm going to throw those all into endurance for me, because that's the thing that I'm looking at getting right now. But make sure you do those. Make sure when you get your proficiencies leveled up, you'll see when you get to level 30, you actually get a milestone where you can select something to unlock. So you can get here for the harvesting ones, the tool durability -5, harvesting stamina -5, harvesting output +5, and harvesting speed +5. So you want to make sure you're doing these. Have a look here at the wood and stone one. I can pick one of these. So it's wood planning speed or the wood planning output +5 or +5, whatever you want to do. Personally, I'm going to go for the output one here, and then you simply unlock that and you get another perk. It's also the same for the weapons, so make sure you go into your weapon mastery and have a look at those trees as well. And of course, press Y and have a look at your mask when you've got the available awareness level, and you've also got enough of the green crystals, or whatever it is that you're at right now. Make sure you're leveling this up, because you can get some really, really good stuff, including combat nodes, and also things to help you with your gathering. So don't sleep on this one either. The next thing here then is to take advantage of the food that the game has to offer. Now, the first and most easily accessible thing will be cooked meat. This will give you a plus 50 max HP and plus 0.5 per second HP for 5 minutes. So this is a basic, very good food to have on you. But once you come across some of the other materials that are food based in the game, such as corn, you can make roasted corn here. This one will give you plus 5 defense for 10 minutes. If we have a look at something like roasted pumpkin, this one is particularly notable and good because you can get stamina recovery plus 25%, max stamina plus 5 for 10 minutes. So this is going to be really good whatever you're doing in the game. Stamina is super important, especially early on when you have less of it. If you're wondering where you can pick up some fruit veg from, a little spoiler warning here, skip to the next section of the video. The timestamps are in the description and should be on the chapters section of the video, but I'm going to show you where you can pick that stuff up now. So if we have a look on the map, you will need to go to the eastern or the western forest, and if you head over to the barracks, which is the barbarian barrack here, the Claw Tribe one up the top in the eastern forest, and in the western forest you have the barbarian barracks, the Flint Tribe. Now, depending where you've built your base, you might be closer to one or the other. Clearly you can see I am closer to this Flint Tribe one here, and a little tip is that the one in the western forest, so the barbarian barrack Flint Tribe one, is actually slightly lower level mobs in the area around it, which makes it a little bit easier to get there and back, whereas if you go to the eastern forest one up here, it's a little bit more tricky. There is some other stuff you can do up there, but the mobs in the area are generally a little bit harder and higher level, so I would recommend going further to the left at the beginning if you want to get them, and you want to go near those camps. You'll be able to see the veg there and all the plants. I'm not going to spoil that too much for you, but you can go and have a look at those areas to find those if you do want to. The next thing sounds very basic, but make sure you're using a shield. Most weapons you can actually use with a shield, anything that is one-handed essentially, so obviously dual blades, greatsword you can't, but spears you can, and you can block and attack at the same time, which is really, really good. But also you'll notice when you block in this game, you get that white sort of glow outline on your shield, or if you are just using a one-handed weapon as a two-handed weapon, or a two-handed weapon in general, you'll see when you block with that, you also get that sort of white glow for a second or two when you pull it up. Now, this is the parry timer, so if you actually do this as an enemy attacks you and they connect with your block whilst you have that white glow around it, you'll get a perfect counter or a parry, which will leave the target stunned. Now, this works on mobs, it works on NPCs, and also works on other players. So you can simply stun a target, which gives you a free hit or two. Particularly good against higher level NPCs when you are trying to clear those out, because you can actually then do things like the flurry attack with the spear or some regular attacks. And you'll also be able to just left click on them and it will give you kind of a cool move depending on what weapon you're using, which will do some extra damage as well. So that's a really nice little thing you can do, and it's why blocking in this game is super crucial and important. So don't sleep on it. Get a shield if you can use one, or learn to block with your two-handed weapon where possible. Make sure you're making use of the map functions. There's some pretty cool things you can actually do on the map. The first one being V. You can just place down a marker, which you can see there. I've just placed it, let's say, next to this barbarian camp. And then if you look around the world, you'll see once we get over towards where that is, if we look in the direction, it tells you the shortcut mark and how far it is to travel to. Now, if you do actually want to make some permanent markers, you can of course create a marker where the cursor is with R, so you can put down something like a dual swords and give it a name and a color, or you can create a mark at your feet of your character by pressing F, and again you can customize the color, the name and the icon of this, but of course this one is directly where you stood as opposed to being able to pick a specific location. Now, this is really good if you find some resources, like I mentioned before, the vegetables and fruit that are growing by the sort of barracks areas, and also you'll find as you venture into the eastern and western parts of the forest, things like tin ore jotted about. This is going to be useful, so you might want to mark that on your map when you're going past it. Now, this next one is important, but it's setting up your inventory well for a long fight or a long kind of expedition where you're going to go out and travel and clear out a few of these camps and maybe complete a few of the objectives on the map. Bring multiple weapons, because they're going to break pretty quickly, especially the bone ones, because although the stone ones break pretty fast, you can actually pick up most of the materials in the local area that you will need in order to repair them. But once you get up to the bone spears or the bone variation of the weapons, and then similarly with the beast hide armor, you will actually require the benches in order to be able to repair these. So the best solution for this is make 2 or 3 if you have the capacity to. Like you can see here, I've got spare spears, and just bring those along with you in case the first one breaks, because trust me, if you're out for a while, this will happen. Now, you can also do the same for tools if you're going to be out for a while, but generally I tend to gather nearer the base and just pick up resources that are not too nearby to me when I'm out on my travels, and you do get a pretty decent amount of inventory space and weight capacity in this game off the bat, so that is really nice. But you also want to make sure you've always got a full luminous waist lamp on you. It does get dark pretty quickly. It's roughly 1 second in real life time is about 1 minute in the game, so 60 seconds for an hour, and it's dark from around 6 to 7 PM all the way up until around 6 AM, so about 12 hours or 11 hours of darkness per day. So you're definitely going to want to have one of these on you if you're going on a big expedition where you're going to be fighting. Like I said, taking over the objectives is going to be crucial. Always bring food with you, of course, as well, and obviously bring anything else that you want to have on you that you think you're going to need. You could bring multiple sets of armor, but to be honest, most of the times when you're killing enemies, especially around objectives, they do drop some spare pieces, and if you pretty much fully repair these before you go out, you won't need them. Especially if you get up to Beast Hide, you should be fine for a few fights and then start to head back when this gets lower. For some reason, this has got much more durability than the weapons, it seems, or maybe it's just based on how many times you get hit. So maybe you'll need to bring some spare, but that one is up to you. But definitely with the weapons, bring multiple. And the 10th and final tip then here is going to be where you can find cotton as well as other useful crops. Now, like I mentioned earlier, again, this is a little bit of a spoiler, so skip about 10-15 seconds of the video if you don't want to see the exact location. But on the map, you will see the barracks, and you're going to be going here for the fruit and veg, like I said, but you can also get cotton from these. Really importantly, when you do get cotton from them is often you can find cotton seeds, as well as when you are clearing around these ancient ruins and the barbarian camps in the eastern and western forest, you can find some cotton seeds in the chests. So there is a technology you can unlock, which is farming here. You can see it is crop planting. You're going to want to unlock that. as well as the fertilizer bucket, and then to be able to make compost. And what you can go ahead and do is actually plant some of this stuff and get it growing. Now if we have a look over here, this is my farm where the cotton seeds are growing, and you'll see that it does take quite a while. So these have been in already a couple of hours, and I think it takes 250 minutes total to be able to do, and that's not in-game minutes, that is real life minutes. The reason for that obviously being most of the servers, if you're playing online, are persistent, so it does take a while for this stuff to grow, but you can grab some of that and get it growing at your base pretty early on if you actually manage to get over there. But if you're just looking for cotton in general, head over to the barracks. You'll see it here, the barbarian barracks for the Flint tribe, and the barbarian barracks over here for the Claw tribe. Both of those areas do actually have some cotton as well as other plants available, and that is going to be something you're going to need quite a bit of. Make sure you take a scythe with you if you are wanting to harvest the cotton though, because you will need that in order to be able to pick it up. So that is going to be it for today's video. Hopefully you have enjoyed. If you have found it useful, please do leave me a like and a subscribe down below, and other than that, I'll catch you all again very, very shortly for a brand new SoulMask upload. Take care and peace.